Hello, welcome to the seminar where we're going to discuss how to reconnect with our passion, power, and purpose. This presentation is brought to you by HPHC and the Tufts Health Plan. And my name is Danielle Snyder. I am a licensed clinical social worker and a wellness coach. And I'm really excited to be offering a presentation on something that is so important to me personally as well as professionally. So I am going to ask you all to do yourselves a favor and do everything you can do to make the space quiet and protected from external distractions as much as you can, right? I have dogs. You may hear them barking in the background sometimes. But you do your best. So close out an email, put your phone on silence if you can. If you're in an office, shut the door. If you're at home, shut your door. Do whatever it is that can help you be as present as possible for the next half an hour. I'm going to give you a second to do that. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is a guided meditation. And this is a little bit longer than the ones I've done in the past on these presentations, but it is really powerful to help guide you to finding and understanding what motivates you and also lights your passion. So once you have done your best to decrease the distractions, I'm going to ask you to try to take as comfortable as a position as you can. Let's do a quick scan of your body and tense and release any parts of your body that feel more tight than normal. As you're doing this, I really want you to focus on the breath and allowing it to go deeply into your diaphragm, filling up your lungs with fresh, clean air. Inhale feelings. Practice the inhale and really allow yourself to feel your lungs rise as it fills up with air. And then at the last bit, try to get even more air before you exhale. This type of breathing is really helpful to calm down your body. Deep inhalations and then releasing that stress. Now we're going to take a moment and imagine you're floating on a soft, fluffy cloud. And the cloud is just sailing across the sky. Your arms are outstretched and you're just floating along. You feel weightless, moving through the sky slowly. You can look up and see other clouds just floating around. There are no worries in the world. There's no rush. Time is suspended, and you are without any stress. You gradually sense the cloud is descending, and it hovers on top of a beautiful mountain, and you step off. You're standing on top of the mountain, and you're just looking around. There are snow-capped mountains, clouds, and the mountain range continues as far as your eyes can see. There's a brief reminder that we are all just a speck in this vast world. We begin to perceive our place in this beautiful universe. We are connected with everyone. We are connected with nature. We are in the right place at the right time, and we give our trust to the universe. We express our intention to the universe that we intend to find out what our life purpose is. Why are we on this earth? Why have the things happened in our lives? And what links those events to this present moment? We start to believe and understand that we are supported through the universe. Take some deep breaths in and some long, slow breaths out. The starting point in thinking about your life's purpose is starting by thinking about what makes our pulse quicken, what puts a big fat grin on our face. What do we have passion for doing? What would not be classified as work if we did it full time? Think about your hobbies and pastimes. We may love painting, but feel we could never be good enough to make it as a professional artist. Is it because we have not had the time to get really good at it? Are we thinking we have to work in a job that is unfulfilling to pay the bills, pay the mortgage, feed our loved ones? Do we feel trapped? So many people do not fulfill their potential or take advantage of their talents because the responsibility is so heavy on their shoulders. We are meant to fulfill our dreams. We are meant to live with joy. So how do we go about this? Changing our lives to achieve our life purpose? It's not very exciting, but it is step by tiny step. We set ourselves small goals each day. Maybe it's just a few minutes, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So set aside an hour a week to achieve that goal. Start the momentum, fight resistance, fight those mean voices in your head, and start to move forward. When you set yourself on a direction with all your heart, the universe will open doors. Breathe deeply now. We are still standing on top of the mountain, but now we are filled with hope. We feel the enormous potential of our dreams. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. And when you're ready, you can return to this moment. So often we are so busy day to day, we stop even knowing what our passions are, what excites us, what really makes us motivated, because we're so stuck in getting everything done. I know that happens to me. I'm running to one task to the other task, and I don't even think about, am I enjoying this? And yes, the reality is there's a lot of things in life that we don't enjoy that we have to do, but there's also the opportunity to pause and think about how we can create and make space for our life's passions. So one of the things that I like to start with is talking about balance and burnout. Because when we are living in a life without a lot of balance, it is really hard to A, pursue our passions, and B, run away from burnout. So in 2019, the World Health Organization defined burnout is a syndrome conceptualized as resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. So Equilibrium, which is a news article, created a piece in 2021, and they said between December 2020 and July 2001, employees reported a 21% increase in burnout and a 17% increase in physical symptoms. So that was 2021. It's 2023 now, and the world has not gotten less stressful. It's only gotten more stressful. And what happens when we're stressed is we don't often work smarter, we work harder. So I want you to pause for a second and think about, when is the last time you did something for yourself? And if you're feeling really brave, you can pop that in the chat. And if not, you don't have to. Well, as a wellness coach and a therapist, I can share that. Oh, yes. Lisa wrote massage last Saturday. I love that. Perfect. That's not often common. Ooh, someone said taking this class. I love that too. It's hard though. There's not a lot of balance in life. There's not a lot of encouragement to introduce our passions. Instead, there's this push in our society to make more money, buy more things. And if that is your passion, awesome. I love that for you. But for a lot of us, we're kind of caught in that cycle where we're not taking space to rediscover what we love to do. So sometimes, actually, I don't know why I said sometimes, a lot of times we don't make time for passion because we're having a difficult time coping with balance at work. And there's unrealistic work expectations, unrealistic expectations of yourself, poor sleep, nutrition, difficulty taking breaks or being around loved ones because you don't have time, and feeling unappreciated. And a lot of times I like to bring this into the conversation because without our basic needs being met, it's really hard to introduce that discussion of passion. If we're not sleeping enough or eating enough of the right things, we don't have the space or energy to feel passionate. We're just trying to survive. So in order to start to pursue our passions, we have to be able to set boundaries at work and also with our family and with ourselves. So we allow ourselves to open the door and create space. So how do we create balance? We really want to think about our day-to-day schedules. And like I talked about in the meditation briefly, we can't just expect something to change without making the work for it to happen. And this is kind of the most difficult part about making space for our passions, is it is not always exciting. It is extremely purposeful and it's systematic. And what that looks like is first identifying the passion and then making specific steps in your life to make space for it. If we just identify our passion, but we don't learn how to enter or implement the changes, then we're right back where we started. So the first thing I really like to ask people to think about is, without any judgment or allowing the negative voices in their head, think about what provides you joy or passion or happiness. And I want you to just kind of imagine what that looks like, what it feels like. When's the last time you've done it? Who supports it? And maybe what it would look like if you did not fear other people's reactions. Next, I want you to take a brief look at your schedule. And you don't have to answer any of these questions out loud, but I just want you to start to think about it in order for us to start to make space in your brain to give yourself an opportunity to introduce this passion into your life. A lot of times when we're starting to make change, we interpret it as having to be this huge change. We have to quit our jobs and fully pursue our passions. Or we have to block off 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day. And the reality is that sets us up for failure. We got to keep it simple, keep it small, and reasonable. So looking at your schedule right now and thinking about your passion, can you give yourself 5 to 10 minutes a day to do something different? Could you start the day by doing a meditation or sitting outside? Or could you take a break on lunch and go for a walk? When we look for huge chunks of time, it is impossible. So we're looking for those small steps. Next, I want you to think about the people in your life you could share this goal with, because we do have to create a concrete goal in order to start to make these steps. And again, this is when I think about passion, I think about magical and mystical, and creating a goal is not magical. It's very concrete, but it is what helps make changes. Did anyone have any questions so far? If you do, I meant to say this at the beginning. Sorry, feel free to drop it into the chat. So, what successful goal setting and making looks like is creating concrete, measurable opportunities. Surrounding yourself with the people who believe in your passion and start to hold you accountable to it, and not telling or talking about or asking for support from people who are not supportive. This concept called confirmation bias often happens when we are making changes. And if we hold a certain narrative about a passion or a lifestyle change where we think it's silly or not worth our time, we will also find other people who confirm that fact for us. That's the confirmation bias. So we really want to find those people who set us up for success, who are going to ask, how can I be supportive to this? What would it look like for me to help you walk on the beach every morning? Can I join you? Can we do a painting class together? So that's the next step. So the first step is identifying your passion. The next step is creating that goal. So if it's, I'm just going to use the painting. I'm going to paint twice a day for the next twice a day would be a lot. Twice a week for the next 3 weeks. That's your goal. And then you would share it with someone who's going to lovingly hold you accountable, who's going to make you feel good about it and not make you feel like it's a waste of time. And then you're going to try it. And it's going to be information, because some days it's going to be harder to practice, and other days it's going to be easier to introduce it. But the longer you start to practice it, the more space and your brain and your body is going to be getting used to it. When we start to do something new, even if it is reigniting a passion, our brain and our body will often fight against it. We are extremely trained to be living in a productive society. And so if it is not going to make us money, or it is not going to benefit us, we often don't make time or space for it. However, following our passions, taking breaks, doing meditation, anything that is fulfilling our internal desires does for us is helps us regulate our emotions better. It decreases our stress levels. It helps us be more present when we're around people. And it makes us overall happier people. And that's just like the emotional side of it. One of the things that research is coming out and showing us, especially with the increased burnout rates in society, is that when we don't have balance in our life and we're not doing things that light our soul, is people struggle not only with excessive stress, but there are also physical symptoms. So it can be more difficult to sleep. It is not unusual for people to abuse alcohol or any other type of drugs. When we're not exercising or taking space to do things for ourselves, it is not unusual for there to be other medical problems as well. So chronic stress happens when we don't take time or space to fulfill things that are not just for purpose or productive. I say productive because I think we overuse this word a lot, where it's like, how is this productive? How is this benefiting us? And the reality is that sometimes our benefits are not in financial gains or in physical presentations, like our body changing. The gains that we are looking for are the ones that fulfill our internal self. And generally speaking, that is not something that can be fulfilled by making more money or buying something. When we are implementing a new practice or opportunity, our brain can feel really uncomfortable with it because we're very habitual animals. We like things to be in order. And I like to share this image with people. So when they are trying something new, they think about it and understand why it's so challenging to practice a new skill or to take time for themselves when they have learned so often that is not important. And so I like to share about the way I first learned it and thinking about our brain in terms of a horse and buggy. So if a horse and buggy go the same way every single day on a dirt road, the wheels start to make really big ruts. And if one day the bridge is broken and the horse and buggy have to go a different way, what do you think happens when they try to go the other way? Well, the wheels get stuck. Sometimes they break. Sometimes you have to get a new wheel. But the longer you do it, the more the ruts will change and grow in the opposite direction. But in times of stress, when you're not thinking, it will not be unusual for you to go back to the ways that were comfortable and ingrained. So the challenge becomes repetition and practice. And again, when we think of passion, we don't think of it being so systematic, but it really is. We have to keep telling that horse and buggy to go the opposite direction. It is going, our bodies are going to fight it. Our brains are going to fight it. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but that's okay because it gets easier. The ruts will move in a different direction. So every time you do something new with your brain, you're creating new pathways. Our brain is remarkable and it likes to do what it's comfortable. So putting in your schedule, I'm going to take these 5 to 10 minutes to introduce this new opportunity will feel different for you. And that's okay. I want you to pause, be curious about it, and then encourage your brain and your body. Yep, it's going to be okay. We're going to do the other direction today and see what happens. And it gets easier. And that's the exciting part, because the more you do it, the easier it will be to take care of yourself. And what taking care of yourself looks like is honoring your passions and desires outside of the normal systematic approach of society. So we have a question in the chat. I appreciate it so much. I'm going to pause and answer it. The question says, I'm getting stuck on the word passion. I feel like I have no real passion for anything. Is it more about adding something that makes you feel good to your life, whether you're passionate about it or not? The simple answer is yes. I am using the word passion, but when we are so busy and really weighed down with expectations and work and life and etc., it can be hard to really honor what we're passionate about because we could be burned out. And when we're burned out, we can't allow our body and brains prevent us for thinking about things in terms of passion because we're just trying to survive. So with someone who is struggling with the word passion, I would encourage you to be curious and try something different and something that makes you feel good and curious. So we can switch out the word passion with an opportunity to feel good and curious. Does that help? I'm going to go with yes. When we give ourselves more space to start to explore what makes us feel good and curious, it can open the door to things we become passionate about. But a lot of times, again, because we're so busy, we really can't even address the passion part of our lifestyles until we start to make those changes. So honoring the time, because your time is very important, I want to go over the most important steps that we have discussed this week. I don't know why I said this week. Today, right now. The most important steps is first acknowledging that you want to make a change. The next step is creating a specific, concrete plan to help give yourself more space to explore something that makes you feel good and curious. Then we want to find that accountability partner who helps encourage us to do so. And the final step is reevaluating it in a couple of weeks. Was it something that gave you more energy? Did you enjoy it? Was it helpful? Did you dread it? Knowing that your brain is going to take a little bit of time to get used to this. And if it's not the thing that is making you feel good and curious, then you try something different. But the goal is to gather the information from setting these specific steps and concrete goals and not giving up when things get hard. Does anyone have any questions before we break? Okay, thank you so much.